We are out here in East Hampton at one of my favorite events, the East Hampton Library's annual Authors Night. And inside of that tent are some of the most brilliant minds. And you've always heard me, a lot of people have heard me say how I love authors, that they're some of my favorite people, and that the author is truly the only creative part of the film and TV making process. That everybody after the author is interpretive and riding on the coattails of the author. But the author takes something from nothing and creates something that an awful lot of people will make money from later on. Well, in those tents, there's an awful lot of brilliance and great minds in there. So, and like I said, some of them, if anybody's been to Dan Tanner's out in the Santa Monica Boulevard, all the film industry writers go there. And they're all a little quirky, all a little crazy, a little nuts, but that's what they said about Einstein and Niels Bohr and Groucho Marx. Now look at that brilliance. So anyway, so let's go inside. We'll meet some of the brilliance that's inside of those tents here in East Hampton for Authors Night. Well, this is an honor. I'm here with a wonderful legend. Anybody who's watched LTV or any of the stuff that's come out of the East Hampton Town Hall, Hugh he's legendary. You're one of the greatest historians. You know everything about everything, and I love the presentations you make.
Well, thank you, but I don't know everything about everything. But you know what I do know? What I don't know. And I think that's important. And the other thing I want to tell you, that you don't have to know all the answers, but it helps to know where to look for the answers. And I used to be a teacher. So, of course, and an actor. So it sounds.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, so it sounds like I know what I'm talking about.
And actually, you just reminded me of something from the Tao. The Tao says, "He who knows he doesn't know knows. He who thinks he knows doesn't know."
That's right. That's very good.
But you still are encyclopedic. And I just did a thing with Jimmy Grimes. Did a little thing with him, and I let him just talk, and then I kind of filled in the blank with all kinds of pictures. And it wasn't until after we put the thing with Jimmy up that I saw your presentation. And
what was that, down in Montauk?
Yeah,
at the Fisher House.
Yes, and it was great.
Yeah, I've done 4 talks down there.
Yeah.
You know, if you go into Montauk to talk to people, you should talk to Dick White. Do you know who he is?
Who?
Dick White.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
and his son, Richard, I just did a thing with them with Henry Uline at, we just covered the
Blessing of the Fleet?
No, we did the Blessing of the Fleet, but we also did the fishing tournament.
And
that was so fun. And Dick's son kind of was the moderator of it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we covered the St. Patrick's Day parade. So when we're doing the St. Patrick's Day, Dick's son, Richard, is up on the podium. So it's great. I've got the camera there, and he's moderating. He knows everybody.
Yeah,
but what a wonderful family, and they go back a long way.
Yeah, but there's not many people left now. I mean, Dick is my age, and after a while, there's not too many people in their 80s anymore who can remember at least half of what they should, from years ago. Well, thank you for doing this. That's a great idea. Get people on tape.
Yeah.
Right? Get them on camera.
And do really nice pieces. We're doing kind of a documentary about Montauk, but going way back and doing a really good piece for them.
Oh, really?
That everyone would be really proud of. And talking to the people from the town, because a lot of people were worried that, wouldn't be represented well, but I'm talking to everybody in the town to make sure it's exactly what they want. But I'd love to talk to you about it, and you have to be on it because you're part of the fabric of the community.
Well, no, there are lots of other fabrics of the community, but thank you. Thank you very much. It's okay.
So just as long as we're here, you're here at Writers' Night. So tell us what brings you here to the East Hampton Library's Writers' Night.
Well, the library, goes back until probably the time of Samuel Buell, our third minister, had a library in 1753 in East Hampton. It was called the Philo-Grammatican Society. Most of the books were probably his. Yeah. And how many people in 1753 could read, right? Yeah. Then we had another minister called Lyman Beecher. You ever hear of Harriet Beecher Stowe?
Sure.
Well, her father was the minister here.
Oh, really?
And he started...
See, we love this. We love this about you.
And he started a library in 1806 called the East Hampton Library Company, okay? And then those books wound up at the Hedges Inn. You know where the Hedges Inn is? Well, the Hedges family owned them. Then when they gave them to the library in like 1910, that's when the library had to build its present building because it was running out of room at Clinton Academy. So this goes so far back, and the library has one other thing, the Long Island Room, where all these historical documents are housed in that library.
I'm working with a woman over there who's in the archives, and it's a great the stuff that they have, and she's been very helpful. But there's the one wall in the one section, which is the oral history, and you've got everybody from Durier's to the Gossmans, but it's great stuff. And I started looking at them, and then that's when I started thinking about Jimmy and his father, and then his father actually helped build the Montauk Manor. Right, so I look at how far that stuff goes back.
Yeah, and Andrea Maya and the women who work in that Long Island room actually want to help you. When you go there. A lot of times people don't want to bother.
Yeah.
They get right on it when you ask them something. I found out. I go to them all the time.
Yeah, they've been very helpful.
Yeah.
So have you. I love your stuff. When's the next time you're going to be speaking?
I don't know. I go to the town board and the village board meetings every month. Yeah. And they let me speak in the beginning, so I give a little talk.
They let you speak. They don't pay you. They should be paying you to speak.
And that's okay. They got to pay the next person. The one behind me needs to get paid. That's what I keep telling them.
Listen, Hugh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
What a pleasure.
Thanks for your interest.
Living legend.
Oh,
you came.
And I'm still living. Thank you. We'll see you.
So this is fun. You know, if you come to events like this in Hamptons, you run into all kinds of people that you know or that you want to know. And weird characters. Well, I already talked about that in the opening. I talked about writers being my favorite people, but they're all kind of crazy a little bit. But so you have, Jackie, you've got a wonderful thing in LTV.
Yes,
and with Bill
I
McCuddy
do.
and everybody else, and you're fun. You guys do a nice weekend thing. And
we have such a blast. I highly encourage everyone to watch. We have a lot of fun, and it's live, so there's lots of mistakes, a lot of blubs,
live
but
TV,
we have
it's
a
great
good
thing.
time. And it's all about what's happening every weekend here in the Hamptons.
Yeah, you cover a lot of different things, from real estate to events.
Everything.
And Bill, we love Bill.
We love Bill.
I think I've mentioned on here before that I knew Bill a long time ago. I saw him walking out of Roger Ailes' office in New Jersey when Roger Ailes was casting for America's Talking, and they had a contest for somebody who could be, give him away a position as having their own show, and I was second runner-up, and Bill came out, and I saw him passing, and I knew. I said, "Oh, look at that guy! He had that presence." I said, "Oh my God!" And I never forgot him. And all of a sudden, I saw him again out here. I was like, "How cool!"
Yeah, he's got that show every week.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So when you're not doing LTV, what are you doing?
Well, I'm a real estate agent, but I do a lot of volunteer work. I'm a volunteer here today for the Authors Night.
Oh, great.
Volunteer at the LVIS, at the East Hampton Historical Society. So I have a great time out here. What can I say? It's paradise.
Another volunteer. Volunteering is great. I had this expression, if volunteering paid well, I'd be one of the wealthiest people in the world.
Oh, me too.
But volunteering is volunteering. But it's a great thing to do, and you're wealthy just by volunteering. So it's a pleasure meeting you in person.
So
I'll keep looking
you.
for you on LTV.
And you as well.
Yeah, I got my little show. But you guys are live. Mine is kind of taped in advance.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll see you at LTV.
If you haven't gone live, you haven't gone anywhere, baby.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Okay. Again, you come to an event like this, you're going to run into all kinds of people you know out of context and saying hello. So Nikki and Diana are here. We're out here again. We're at the East Hampton Library's Authors Night. And I've known Nikki from inside in Bayside and Douglaston, working on the Douglaston and Memorial Day Parade in Little Neck, one of the biggest parades in the country. And so I know you from there, and all of a sudden you said hello, and I had to kind of place you. I was like, oh, great. So hi, how are you?
I'm good. I had the same thing. I'm looking at you, and I went, oh my God, I know him from home.
So the two of you are out here, and
Yes.
and do you come to this event every year?
Sorry?
Do you come to this event all the time? Or
This is my second year. I moved here 3 years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah?
So you moved here from 3 years ago. How do you like it?
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's paradise. I had a place over in Southampton, but after Hurricane Sandy, I moved out to Montauk, and it's my heaven out here.
Oh, you're in Montauk.
Yeah, I love it. People said, Greg, you out in Montauk, it's too quiet. In the winter, you're going to hate it. I love it. I love it in the winter as well.
Oh, are you there full time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I'm in the Springs, and I love it there for the same reason.
yeah.
Quiet.
It's almost like a small town feel again, back in the 50s or something. But
not in the summer.
No, definitely not in the summer. So you're here at Authors Night. Are there any authors that you know or that you're interested, or you're just kind of looking around and browsing?
Absolutely. Susan Kaufman is here, and her books are Walk With Me New York and Walk With Me the Hamptons. Absolutely wonderful.
So we're going to have to go interview Susan Kaufman.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. That would be wonderful.
So I'm a big fan of The Power Broker, and I'm hoping to go over and meet the author.
Yeah. Oh, great. And you know something? I was here with Nelson DeMille last year, and unfortunately he's not here this year. He's sick. He's got cancer. So unfortunately he's not here. But we did just do a thing, a whole big, an hour-long special with Debbie Babbitt, who is a great writer, done a bunch of things, and we just put it up on that Montauk Live TV, so you can see that. But so let's go talk to Susan.
Sorry.
Let's go talk to Susan.
Oh, absolutely.
Susan Kaufman. Here we go.
Susan Kaufman.
Thanks. So, after that brief little fun little interruption, so Michelle Miller,
Yes.
so you're here from LA.
I am from
I lived
LA.
out there for 10 years, from Newport Beach and up in Hollywood and over in Los Feliz. And
I helped to launch a 24-hour news channel in Orange County in Santa Ana.
very cool. So tell us all about your broadcasting background and then tell us about your book.
Broadcasting background started in college. I mean, I was one of those people like you. I was in the radio station. I was in the television station. Fortunately, we had a PBS station that was owned by Howard University, and then, I kind of took off and went to the LA Times as an intern. Then I went abroad for about 6 months because I couldn't get a job. But then I came back, and after networking, I helped to get on board this startup, which was a 24-hour local news mini CNN in Orange County. And that really entrenched me because I saw the buildup of an entire station from the
getting
ground
there on
up.
the ground up, that's really wonderful.
So I was like a reporter, I was an assignment editor, I was a producer, and boom, 2.5 years later, I'm in Columbia, South Carolina at the NBC station. Year and a half after that, I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana at the CBS station, WWL Powerhouse. I met a guy.
My condolences.
I met a guy, and I thought I would never leave New Orleans.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that didn't happen. And so really my career was built in local news. The lessons you learn about, covering all sorts of things, even the tiniest stories, how they have, a larger than life impact, how it can be, any story is of human suffering is something that is felt by the majority of us, to being whirled around in a hurricane. I almost died when a wall 10 seconds after I walked away from it collapsed in the midst of a tropical storm. So life in this,
one of those things that it wasn't meant to be. She was meant to keep going.
I was.
Yeah.
So the story, this book, Belonging by Michelle Miller, A Daughter's Search for Identity Through Loss and Love, it's not really about the career. It's about what propelled me probably into the career. I am the daughter of a union between an African-American physician and an administrator who was Hispanic and gave me to my father. And so for the rest of my life, sort of feeling that mother's role space with all these amazing, powerful, beautiful, intentional women that taught me to be the woman that I hope to be, or feel
If you
like
hope to
I
be?
am.
You're
But
the woman that most women wish they were now.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. But I'm continually striving to be better because I am not perfect.
But you're doing great, and here I'm seeing you here in the major market. You're here in New York.
I am in New York, and so all of that is in the book, along with some really amazing points of intersection with some famous folks and the lessons learned in the midst of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something, we're at an age now where everybody's so aware of these lessons we all need to learn, and we're going through this evolutionary change. And I hate that term woke. It's not about that. It's about all of us personally recognizing our own personal power and our ability to create ourselves and the image that we want with different ways.
It is a constant awakening, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that term. I hate when people demonize something they really don't. I don't think they understand fully, but I get it. And I understand why in the cataclysm that we are now in, these changing times across the globe, why it's so important for us to be mindful of who we are, who the world is, and what we want to be in that world. We want to be kind, we want to be helpful, and we want to make a change for the better. And so, like, that's all any human wants to do. At least I hope that's all any human wants to do, right?
That's what we all should be doing. But you so on this vein, do you know that there's a new name for our species? We're not Homo sapiens anymore.
What are we?
Homo sapiens was thinking human. After we were Homo erectus, standing up, and then anthropology looked and said, this animal was thinking and using its brain and figuring things out. Okay, so we're here with one of the greatest thinkers of our time, and also has the greatest line of any of the writers here. Your line is like all the way out the door.
Okay, well, I can't see the line because I'm this low. It's like a forest. How deep is the forest?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, it's just so think about that. So I'm not going to take up your time. All these people want to see you, but a question. So the thought of renaming our species, instead of Homo sapien, thinking human, recognizing that how we choose to think about something defines what it is. The thought of calling us Homo sapiens sapien, the thinking human that's thinking about how it's thinking about things to determine the outcome, which makes us a little different than just people that are discovering but actually manifesting. What do you think?
I think some people are that, but the people who are actually making discoveries, they're not victims of the cage that our language and thoughts put us in. Because what distinguishes science from everything else is that we perform an experiment that measures the world outside of our senses. I can see things with machines that your eyeballs can't. I can detect molecules that your nose can't.
So quarks and neutrinos and all those things that are so small
We
you can't see them,
can
but
measure
you can track
them.
them. Yes.
I can measure them.
Yeah.
It's not a function of my consciousness.
Yeah.
It's not a function of, and the objective truths are established by multiple experiments coming into agreement. And that's why E equals MC squared works.
Yeah.
It's why planes don't fall out of the sky.
So the thought of that there is no such thing as discovery, but we're actually at that moment of creation. When we decide to look farther out, we find farther out because we're actually creating that, and we're that part. Like Einstein said, I want to know the mind of God.
If you're creating what you see, and you're the only one who sees it, you created it in your mind. If you,
I do that a lot.
Okay, if you discover something and you say, hey Neil, check this out. And I look and I see the same thing you do, and you get something else to check it out, and multiple people check it out, and it's there, and the machine finds it. It's as good as we're good with that.
Listen, it is such a pleasure meeting you, and thanks for the question. I'd love to talk to you more. You got a lot of people waiting. The longest line here.
He's getting his line pissed off at me when he's delaying the line. This guy.
Anyway, thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you, Neil.
You got it.
Reed Farrell, right here. Listen, everybody's talking about you. A couple of people said I had to come over and talk to you. Tell us about your book.
This is the first book in a new series. It came out last year. It's about a New York City detective who comes back after 2 tours in Afghanistan and is offered the job of being this New York City's unofficial fixer. So the messes are made by the city, but the solutions are his. And he's given carte blanche to fix them however he can.
Who are we going to cast in his part in the movie?
That's a good question.
He's a great character.
Yeah. Daniel Craig would be good.
Daniel Craig would be great.
Yes, Daniel Craig should play me in my biopic.
So tell me about you, and also where you came upon this material to write from.
I'm from Brooklyn, from Coney Island, like a parachute jump.
He's got a tattoo of the parachute jump on his arm.
There it is. And I started out, I was a published poet by the time I was 15, and I went to college for poetry. And figured, I'd get out of school and I would publish, I'd have a normal job and I would publish poetry. There's a great precedent for that. And then I would working of all places, the cargo area at Kennedy Airport. And I took a night class back at Brooklyn College, and it was called American Detective Fiction. And I had never read mystery or detective fiction. To me, they were always the kind of cheesy books on my dad's nightstands with the lurid covers of half-clad women with guns. And I took
Half-clad women with guns.
Yes, the title of my next book. And 3 weeks into that class, I said, "This is what I was born to do."
Oh, cool! You knew.
And this is my 31st novel, and my 31st. Yeah, I've been on the New York Times bestseller list 6 times.
To hear that, look at that. Congratulations, this is great.
And no one knows who I am.
Well, they're going to now.
Right, if you're going to be famous, it's good to be famous as an author.
Yeah. And by the way, so, and getting into poetry when you were a young kid, wasn't Ferlinghetti from that area of Brooklyn?
I'm not sure where Ferlinghetti came from, but he certainly kept poetry alive for a long time in San Francisco.
Yeah, he inspired me. I remember Ferlinghetti reading his stuff.
The Beat Poets.
Yeah.
I actually took a class at which Allen Ginsberg read Howl to my
did
class.
you?
Yeah. It was kind of cool. He taught at Brooklyn College for a while. Yeah, so my 32nd book, the sequel to this book, comes out this Tuesday. It's called Blind to Midnight, and it's the second book in this series.
This is really exciting. Your stuff and the characters you're writing. You must have been talking to somebody in Hollywood about turning this into films.
Yeah, my agent is a pretty famous Hollywood screenwriter as well.
Yeah.
He was one of the screenwriters of Avatar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So but one thing you find out in the book business is the book business and the movie business are 2 separate businesses, and there's a lot of stuff that should be made into things but never gets there, but they are apparently close to a deal. But close to a deal, you might as well be very far away from it.
I've got a little bit of a background in the movie industry, and one of the things that I learned early on running film studios is that most of the time the producers and directors do not want the writer on the set. Stephen King, it's in his contract, do not come near the set because they come and they don't understand the process. And then sometimes some movies you just couldn't afford to make them. They're great plots, great characters, but you couldn't afford to make the movie the way the book would read. So and if you can't make it, you can't make it profitable. You can't make it.
To me, I know they're 2 separate art forms.
Yeah.
You know, movie making and books, they're different things. You know what? I know a lot of author friends who've had movies and television shows made, and they've all said the same thing. We went to the bank and cashed the check.
But Reed, I'll tell you something. You're the only truly creative part of those processes, film and TV. And I used to bring I talk about the story too much, but whenever the writer would come around the set, I'd stop everyone and say, "Hey, everybody, I want you to stop. I want a round of applause. You all have your jobs because of this guy." And you're the only truly creative part of the process. After that, everybody's interpretive. They're interpreting what it is. They may be creative, but you're the only person. Everybody depends on you.
Well, you want to be my PR man? Well, that was great. Thank you. I look forward to that day when I get a round of applause on the set.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a movie, you wouldn't have a TV, you wouldn't have a series, nothing, if it wasn't for the writer who took something from nothing and made it into something. But you've done a lot of that, 31, 32?
As I like to say, 32 novels in, I'll get it right eventually.
So, I don't want to ask an unfair question, but is there any way that you could describe your style of writing?
Yeah, I actually am a mystery writer with a kind of a literary style, a poetic and lyrical style of writing. Maureen Corrigan on NPR once called me a hard-boiled poet. And I'll take that title.
The hard-boiled poet. I love it.
Thank you very much.
Hey, listen, it's a pleasure. Good luck with this, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing your name up on the screen as original story by.
Plus, you've already seen my poster in the post office. So.
but also, I love the character. What's the character's name, by the way?
Nick Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. But and all this, you had some background to call upon to write this character.
I lie for a living.
Listen, it's a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Authors Night. Some of the greatest authors of our time are here. It's always a great event. Robert Caro, he wrote The Power Broker. The line to talk to him has been almost as long as Neil deGrasse Tyson. But it's one of the greatest things about the Authors Night here in East Hampton is the people that are, the writers that are here, some of the greatest writers of our time. Unfortunately, Nelson DeMille can't be here this year. He's not feeling well, but we love him too. So anyway, if you come here next year, it's really worth it. But Robert Caro, author of The Power Broker. Hi, we're here with Julian. He's got a very interesting topic he decides to write about. The topic of the day, politics. But some of your titles. Tell everybody about your books and about your subject matter.
Well, I write about everything in U.S. political history from the 60s through today. So one book that I have, Our Nation at Risk, is looking at our election system. What's working, what's fragile, what's vulnerable, and trying to provide kind of thoughtful, smart answers about where we are as a democracy. I wrote also a book about Newt Gingrich in the 1980s, and it's about the origins of the modern Republican Party through him as really a key mover, and you can see kind of the line from him to Donald Trump in the end.
Yeah.
And so I try to provide a historical perspective.
You know, we're all, everybody is trying to hold on to kind of fabric of what we believed America to be, and what our politics and our politicians and our statesmen. Yeah, we used to have guys like Goldwater, great statesmen, and you look at doing things that were for the betterment of the country. And now, does anybody think that's happening with politics anymore? No, everybody seems to be doing something whatever better for them or their interests.
Yeah.
So you're trying to put a spotlight on where things stand today.
Where things stand and how we got to where we are today, and really trying to trace the changes in American politics that happen. There's moments things change, and there's moments problems happen, and the more you understand the history, I think you're kind of in a better place today to hopefully start fixing things.
Yeah, I worked at CBS News, and I covered year after year. We'd cover the elections and the conventions, and you'd listen to what people were saying and how things were going, and you could read between the lines. You could hear things, and you go, oh my God, listen to how they're kind of positioning that and positioning this, and you realize, trying to weed through it and get to the real truth of things. Like I had just mentioned to someone, the Nixon years, and we look back, and America got fat during the Nixon administration, and people say, no, why is that? Well, because he needed the vote from a lot of the farmers, and he had these commissions that were giving all these big grants to the farmers to grow grains and everything, and our whole diet changed under Nixon. And people go like, oh, Greg, no. And I said, look it up. Look, that's when America got fat. But people don't see those kind of behind-the-scenes deals that are done.
Yeah, and I have this other book, Myth America, which actually takes some of the beliefs you hear all the time and tries to unpack them. Yeah. Not so much just behind the scenes, but kind of big arguments we have about why things have happened in this country. And I think that's part of what you do as a historian. You don't just puncture myths, but you try to get people to look more seriously and carefully about what actually happened.
So for me, again, watching the news and seeing things the way they go, America was, in my estimation, America was robbed of one of the greatest moments and pride-giving moments that we could have had when Clinton was giving an address in front of the United Nations. The whole world loved us at the time. He had done great things in foreign diplomacy, and he was giving a speech that got this great round of applause at the United Nations, and it was scheduled to be on C-SPAN.
Yeah.
And I went to watch it when it was on C-SPAN, and they took it off so that Kenneth Starr could deliver all those trucks coming in with that stupid big book about Monica Lewinsky and something beautiful about America. We were robbed of it to have this piece of crap delivered, and I just look and say, oh my God, how bad? And I did like Clinton. I thought we did really well under Clinton, but boy, did they go after that guy. So you see that kind of thing in the books that you're writing.
Yeah, I wrote a book about Newt Gingrich, which really focuses on him, and he was at the heart of that impeachment.
Yeah.
And, he reimagined American politics. He kind of practiced a kind of partisanship without guardrails. He abandoned older worries about civility and even governance. And he was also very media savvy, Gingrich. And he knew how to do what you just said, meaning shift attention away. And so I try to capture all that.
Yeah, that's the shifting attention away.
Yeah.
If we believe
Which today is
the
very
information we're given to think, and so when we see ourselves fed with certain things, and you realize, oh no, that is making us look in a certain direction. There's so many instances of that, and I love talking to you about this. I could get deeper into it, but the politics of today, especially if you're a historian and you're looking back, and like I'd say to AI, sum up in 30 seconds in 3 paragraphs. How would you characterize the politics of today and the way things are being played back and forth?
You know, fragile, volatile, and unstable. And I think the election of 2024 is showing that. You know, I'm a historian. I always tell people, don't say unprecedented too much. But what we are seeing is truly remarkable. And I think underlying it is this fear that we are not on a solid foundation. And so everyone is watching with bated breath how this unfolds.
When Trump came in and said they stole the election, it was stolen, and there was no real evidence of it. In fact, there was evidence that it wasn't stolen. But then, for me, a real change in American politics that was very upsetting to me was Bush Gore, and when the Supreme Court, when Scalia stepped in to stop the counting because the last counties that were going to be counted would have taken the vote to Gore, that was a stolen election. But nobody really talks about that.
In this book on Our Nation at Risk, we have a lot on that question and how important that election was actually and the outcome and the way the vote was stopped. And I think people have forgotten about that. And the Supreme Court intervention there was quite dramatic and many would argue without much foundation.
Well, when the Supreme Court and Scalia stepped in to say, no, we're going to stop this count now, when the count giving people, Americans who were voting legitimately, stopped their right to be heard, and those last counts and those last counties would have taken it into Gore. And Gore was, he was dignified and he stepped aside. But I looked at that and said that was really upsetting. But no one talks about that these days.
Right. I still play in my class. I play the clip of Gore going on television. And I think now for students to see that after January 6th is it's both inspiring and shocking that that's not what happened. Because I teach them how contentious this was and how angry people were. But there he is saying, I accept the results.
Something, of all the authors that I've talked to, I think you're the guy to follow. With your books and the stuff that you're writing and exposing, I can't wait to read your stuff. So tell us the titles.
Our Nation at Risk is all about the election system. Burning Down the House is very relevant. It's about Newt Gingrich and the origins of modern American politics.
And you have David Byrne doing the soundtrack to that.
Yeah, right. And Myth America, which is essays on every issue from why Confederate monuments actually were put into place, to myths about race relations in America, to I have an essay on the Reagan Revolution and some of the things we misremember about that period.
Yeah. Julian, it's really a pleasure.
Great to meet you.
I'm looking forward to reading your stuff.
Thank you for
But this is definitely someone to follow. I mean, look at what you're telling everybody and making them aware of. This is the kind of stuff you need to read to be a good American so that you're really educated and not just going with the mob mentality. So thank you very much for what you're doing. And standing there doing this stuff, you don't ever feel threatened, do you?
No.
Good. So thank you. So, okay, this has been tough. It's so crowded here, but you've had a line going. I've been trying to talk to you for a while, then you've got book signing after book signing after book signing. So, as promised, Susan Kaufman. So, Nikki, other people said we had to talk to you, and you did this great book.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Tell everybody about the book.
Well, the book grew out of my Instagram account where I would walk around all the towns in the Hamptons and take pictures, and I love the charming side of the Hamptons, the older houses, the historic, the beautiful landscapes. And so I really wanted to do a little love letter to the Hamptons. So I shot from Southampton to Montauk and all the towns in between, and I hope I did them justice.
Did you go to Town Point and North Sea?
No, I missed that. Of course you said that.
We had a house there, and it really is stunning.
You know what? There's so much to cover in the Hamptons. Maybe that can be in book number 2.
Book number 2. So, but look, you're doing so well. Walk with me in the Hamptons. Just a real quick thing. So, how did you get it published?
This is my second book. I did the same thing for New York. And I had been taking a lot of pictures, posting on Instagram. I had a very large following of people who loved my pictures, and they kept saying, you should do a book. So I did a book proposal, I got an agent, and Abrams made me a beautiful offer, and now I'm on book number 2.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah,
That's exciting. And your reception here, this book is doing very well for you. Everybody knows about it. Have you been doing book signings around town, like Bookhampton or anything?
Yeah, I did a talk at Bookhampton. I did Meet Cox this week, the store. I've done Erin in Southampton. This is my 8th signing, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's keeping you busy.
It's keeping me busy, but I love it. It's been really fun.
So you've got people waiting here. I'm not going to keep you for them. But just really quickly, tell everybody, where did you grow up and how did you come to the Hamptons? Did you grow up in the Hamptons?
I grew up in New Rochelle, New York. My aunt and uncle, Aunt Jane and Uncle Lou, had a house on Crossways near Main Beach in East Hampton. And I've been coming out here since 1966. And my husband and I bought our little cottage in Amagansett in 1997. So I've been out here living part-time for about 27 years.
So you have to think, we don't want to take anything for granted. We have to recognize, how blessed have we been to have been, to have been introduced to this at younger ages and then been able to stay out here.
Yeah.
It's great. So you're a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you
it's
so
nice
much.
to meet you.
You too.
Susan Kaufman.
Take care. Thank you.
So this is great. So we're Taylor and Lisa
Barr,
and with great titles. So you're Condometti and you're the goddess of Warsaw. Oh, so this is great. So you guys have been really busy all day.
Yeah.
Because of her.
No.
Because of you?
But we've had such great roommate situation here.
Yeah.
It's been so fun, so great, so exciting to see all these book lovers in one spot. Thank God the weather held, right?
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. So thank you for having us.
So have you been here before?
Yeah, I was actually just here a few weeks ago in Montauk for a wedding.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
But at Author's Night.
This is my first
This is your
one.
first, and is this your first Author's Night?
No, this is my third.
Your third.
My third. I was here in 20.
So you're a pro at this by now.
Yes, and I live out here, so I love the Hamptons community. I love that all the proceeds go to the East Hampton Library. I love that they honor bestsellers and local artists. It's very diverse, and I think it's something that the community looks forward to every year.
It's a wonderful. There's more intelligence in this room, more brilliance in this room than you're ever going to find. So you got a bestseller,
Yes.
and it's your first book or not your first book?
It's my fourth book.
Your fourth book.
My fourth book, yeah.
And who published you?
HarperCollins.
HarperCollins. Okay, so that's not a small name. So, and how did you get them to publish you? In your first books?
So they published my second, third, and this new book.
Yeah.
And they fell in love with my second book, and then I developed a beautiful relationship with my editor, and it took off from there. So we've had a really great run.
We just heard from Debbie Babbitt about that relationship with your editor. When you hear really good writers that have got something that's a bestseller, they're always in love with their editors, and then the people who don't do well hate their editors.
But she gives me the freedom to express my voice, and she doesn't clamp me down, and I think I love that about her. Yeah.
Well, that's important. But you take her advice.
Always.
Yeah. And how about your editor?
I always subscribe to editors because I can't tell you how many things I miss, like the 15th, 16th pass of a manuscript. Like, what? Still didn't see that mistake, didn't see that grammar. Maybe that thing didn't need to be said again. It's redundant. So editors pick up on so many small innuendos as well as helping you shape a story. So
and who published you?
Mine is by Book Baby, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm also a singer-songwriter, so I am very used to being an indie label, so I did it myself. Yeah.
So that's cool. And you live out here?
I live out here.
For how long?
Been here since 1987.
So how do you like Paradise?
I love Paradise.
and so where do you live?
Chicago.
Chicago?
Yes.
Chicago. I got some cousins in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Barrington.
Okay, not far.
Yeah. That's some famous gangsters from Chicago live there.
There are. It's so funny. Yeah, no, there are.
So you came all the way from Chicago for this?
So I came all the way from Chicago for this, and I'm here for the night. My best friend lives in the area, so got to just enjoy this.
So tell us about your book. I don't know about it yet.
This is The Goddess of Warsaw, and it's about a young actress who becomes an assassin during the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising.
Actress becomes assassin.
During survival.
A lot of Harry.
Yeah, kind of way. An assassin, but then she survives the war and goes to Hollywood, and her personal war never ends. So she becomes a major Hollywood star with a dark secret past, and it's very suspenseful, historical, and passionate, of course.
Wow, and the lead character's name is?
Her name is Bina Blonsky turned Lena Browning.
That's fun. And who's going to play her in the movie?
Well, she was inspired by Lauren Bacall.
Really?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
So we'll see.
Just put your
There's
list
a
together
lot of
and
great
go.
actresses out there. I'm ready.
Yeah. So listen, I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
I can't wait to read it. And this is, I've got a wealth of it, of writers going around this year. Tell us about your book. And your title is, eye-catching.
Condometti. Mine is
Condometti.
It's a psychological thriller, and it's about two twins that are separated at birth, and one does 23andMe to find her other, not knowing what, with the big hope that this person's going to fill that void since she was adopted, and he is very much an aberrant character, and they go on a trajectory of complete chaos, and redemption is offered, but I won't spoil it, so it's...
Groucho would have said, I know a couple of aberrant characters myself.
Yeah.
But, so that's fun, you have an aberrant character.
An aberrant character,
yeah.
yes.
But you seem like such a nice, peaceful person.
I know. Well, now that the book's done.
Do you have a website if people want to look you up?
Okay, I'm TaylorBarton.com, and the book, of course, is available on stores and Amazon and wherever. So TaylorBarton.com.
Cool. And do you have a website for people to find you?
Well, lisabarr.com, but the book is available anywhere you love, any of your favorite retailers.
So look, can we get a copy? Oh, right there. So look, The Goddess of Warsaw. Okay, so we're going to be reading this, but Lisa, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so
And congratulations,
much.
bestseller,
Thank you so much.
That's got fun.
Thank you.
Hey, this is wonderful. So guess what? So we're here at the Hamptons Classic, the world famous and fabulous Hamptons International Horse Show, and we have this wonderful guest, one of my favorite people in the whole world, one of the best writers I've ever met in the whole world, Elaine Iagata. Hello, Elaine.
Hello, Gregory. How are you? Hello, darling.
So it seems like we shouldn't talk like this before in this exact spot. Was it 2 years ago or last year?
Last year.
It was last year. So we're excited. We're moving this book thing with you ahead, turning it into a movie and into a Broadway show. And it's taken a while, but look, it's happening, and you can feel it.
It's funny because I was just telling somebody about an hour ago, I said it's like giving birth, but in really slow motion. So I mean, it's a little painful, then you get a little more dilated, and it's so, it's a little dramatic, but I mean, same damn thing. So I mean, it's exciting. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of behind the scenes teamwork, and some things that pan out, some things that don't, but I mean, that's life. It's just a great representation of life. But the reality is, when that umbilical cord gets cut, this is going to be an amazing production. An amazing production.
And it's kind of fun. It's really true. When the world starts working in your favor and all things start going right, things happen that you just wouldn't expect, the synchronicities, and suddenly it's like, wait a second, this is the odds of this happening. In her book, we won't give too much away, but in her book, one of the main characters goes to the rescue of the Titanic. And then who do you meet? You meet the guy he's building a Titanic?
Actually, there's a guy in Australia, his name is Clive Palmer, and he's pretty distinguished, pretty established. He's just incredibly wealthy and a tremendous philanthropist and a real big heart, but he's taking his obsession for the Titanic and he's turning it into the Titanic 2. He's actually building a replica of the actual Titanic with a few more safety features and clearly a few more lifeboats. Hello, hello.com. And so it's exciting because we've reached out to him and we're in the review process. It would be honestly a bucket list if we ended up bringing him on the team, because the Titanic 2 will sail in 2025. And frankly, to get him on our team and talk about the other boat that night, I just think is just real beautiful. Just it fits just like this. It just fits.
And you've got this great website, so it's really gorgeous. Tell them about your website.
ElaineIagata.com. So it's ELAINE and then Iagata, IAGATTA, and then .com. So that's exciting because it's got a couple of other books that I've written, but it's got I Was the Shy One, the main book on it. I'm really proud of how it came out. It's got a vintage vibe to it, which I always love. And, we're very proud of it. It's a good representation of the team that we're working with.
So, and you can get to know Elaine on there. So we're going to say goodbye for now. And I love seeing you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I will talk to you later.
Okay.
Wow, what a flurry of activity that was. Not a great place if you're claustrophobic, but so many people, and the lines of people to see the authors. The one for Neil deGrasse Tyson, that was going on forever. But and then Robert Caro, who wrote The Power Broker. But some of the greatest authors of our time were in there. Unfortunately, Nelson DeMille, who we love, Nelson is under the weather, so he wasn't here. But I've interviewed Nelson, and I know him, and we love him very much, but and wish him to hope he gets better. But anyway, we're here at the close of the East Hampton Library's Authors Night. Always a great event. I hope you're enjoying the interviews that we're doing with those people that we could get to. Anyway, thanks a lot, and time to go home.